Good morning, everybody. I wanted to do the video on my second card from the online card class that I'm doing, the Ornate Suite, Ornate Garden Suite. But I love this suite. If you haven't noticed, I love the papers that's in it. And this card, I posted it yesterday on Facebook on a couple of different sites, and the response was just overwhelming. I loved it. So I do have two different samples here. I posted online. This one is for my card class, and then I posted this one. So I want to show you, this might be the hardest one out of the kit. I don't know if you can handle it or not, but I'm going to show you what you're going to get. So these are your words, and I did layer them on top of each other, and I'll show you what I mean by that. So when you get them, you'll get two of the words per card. You can use these individually, or you can layer them like I did. So what I did is, depending on which, if you want the vanilla or if you want the pink, you just layer it and offset it just a little bit and add some glue. I'm not going to do it because this is for a kit, and this one's just so easy that you really are not going to have any trouble putting it together. So just put some glue on whichever side that you want up, and then just layer it however you like, so you get a little bit of reveal, just like I did on the cards. Like this one, you can see just a little bit of the pink behind the vanilla, or this one you can see a little bit of the vanilla behind the pink. So when you get your cards, of course you're going to have some words, and I did try to make them like congrats and love, and that way if you want, you know, you'll have two different ones, and I think they both go really well with this card. So when you get the card, it's going to be layered just like this, so that you know exactly how it's going to go together. Your envelope is going to be embossed. I love this country floral embossing folder. Just beautiful. Adds so much to the envelope. Somebody knows something good's coming when they get it. So your card's going to be like this. This is your card base, which I did a video, I believe, showing how to cut these pieces. Just look on my YouTube channel. So it's 5.5 by 8.5. It's scored at 4 1/4, and you just fold it in half and burnish it with your bone folder. So I put all of this together, and sometimes my ladies struggle with tying the ribbon, so I thought I would just do that for you. This is the way that I do my ribbon. I attach it to the back with tape. That way, if you need to move it around any, you can. And then just bring it to the front and tie your bow. And when you get it, the only thing that you're going to have to glue down, you're going to have to glue the petal pink down to, let me show you so you can see it in person. So this is the piece that's going to layer on here, and of course your piece is cut with the border, and I'm going to show you some tips on the borders. And then this piece, which is cut with the border, will layer right on top, and then this one will just layer, and you can put some glue on it and just glue them all together. So this really is about the easiest card that you could do in this kit. So, but I love this card. I think it's absolutely beautiful. So when you get yours, you just glue it up and you're good to go. But I do want to bring in the big shot. I want to show you some things that I have learned with these border dies that come with the Ornate Thanks bundle. So this is the Ornate Thanks, and it has all kinds of nice greetings in it. And then you have all these lovely borders. So if you notice on this one, I put some fingernail polish on this side because this is the side that will cut this border for you. If you turn it and cut it this way, then it's going to cut this strip out, and that's not what you want when you do that. So I was telling you that this side is the side that you want to face down on your paper when you want to cut this part right here, the border. If you turn it and cut this way, then this is going to happen. It's going to cut your paper off, and that's okay if that's what you want, but that wasn't what I was going for. So I figure if I just mark mine with fingernail polish, then I'll know which side it's going to be that I need to use it to get this fabulous border to cut out. So if you want to do that, that's just my little tip. So if you do want to cut this and use it on something, it's really pretty. Be nice for a napkin ring or something. I don't know, just thinking. But when I cut this out, I just kept it because I'm sure I'll use it on something. But if you want the other side to have the scallop, then this piece that's in with your borders is what you use to cut. You know, you would need a little bit more paper to get that cut right, but you just want to bring it in, and then it just goes around the die cutout, and then it'll get the scallop in there for you, unless you like the straight line. So this is what this is used for. It fits around the cutout. So if you can see, that matches up with this die. You don't want to put it on top of it, obviously, because if you run it through like that, then you're going to wreck your dies. But this is what cuts this out. So I'm going to bring in the Big Shot real quick, just to show you a few things that I found while I have been cutting these dies out. This one is the die that I used for the bottom, the scallop. And this piece of paper that I used for this is from an old celebration where you get the free paper if you spend $50. So, you know, me and paper, we have this love affair. So I'm going to scoot these back out of the way. I'm going to bring in my Big Shot, and I just want to show you a couple of things. So bring in your Big Shot, and of course you have your sandwich. And what I mean by the sandwich, this is your sandwich. This is your platform. I have to have a shim for mine, and then the 2 acrylic plates. I'm waiting to get a new one. This one's been really used for my online card class. So let me just make sure that I have this in the screen. So what I do is I put my paper down, and then I take the die, and I want my scallops to be the same on both sides. So what I do is I line up this point, and I make sure that this point is the same because I want my scallops to look the same. And I just put this down, and then I take a piece of paper and put on top, and that adds some extra pressure to it so that it pops all those little pieces out. So I'm going to stand up so I can crank this through, and I just get a hold of the handle and just crank it through. Sorry about all the noise. So then you crank it back through, and it gives you a lot of pressure so that it pops all of those out. Isn't that sweet? It did. It took all of them out. So look at these pretty pieces that it left. But then you want to make sure that you clean the pieces out of your die before you move on to another one. So I'm just going to empty this one. Bring it back in for you. So then I'm going to bring this in, and I want to show you. So this is the end that's down. And this one you do have to watch when you're using it. Let me show you on the paper. You want to make sure that, first of all, it lines up on the bottom, but you want to make sure that this piece has enough room to cut out on the end. And this, you don't want it to cut out and not give you the full leaf there. So I'm going to put this in there. I'm going to lay it down, make sure these points, they try to help you line it up. And if you do have a problem with your die sticking where it's supposed to, painter's tape, it's your best friend. Try not to get it on the paper because it will rip your paper. Just use these points for your painter's tape to get it to stick down, and that way you don't have to worry about it ripping your paper, because that will happen because it's a lot of pressure that you're putting on it as it's running through. So just take this, sorry, trying to keep my hands and stuff out of the way so you can see. So just lay that down and catch those points on either end, and that way it'll hold your paper for you. So then you can just take your top piece, and I do like to put my piece of paper on top of it to give it some extra pressure. Put your other acrylic plate on. Get ready for the noise, sorry. Try to hold it down even better. So I always crank mine through and back just so that it gets those pieces out. And you can also use wax paper. You can use the dryer sheets like I showed you in my other videos. And then you always want to keep your pick tool handy. This guy, your die brush. And then you just want to come in and just rub over it. And see how it took all those little pieces out? The extra pressure really does help. Just make sure that your piece of cardstock that you put on top of it doesn't have any of these on it, because it will leave an impression on your paper. Doesn't matter with this one because it's going to be hidden, but if you are using this piece, make sure you use a clean piece of paper that doesn't have any of the impressions. And this is another added benefit. I want to show you this. With our dies, you can turn them upside down, so this part gives you an embossed feature. So it won't cut, it'll just give you that beautiful embossing. And it's a really deep one because of the pressure that's on it. So that's an added benefit. Let me clean this guy out real quick and I'll show you what I mean about how it cuts your paper. So let's clean this off. Bring in another piece of this pretty petal pink. So what you want to do, this one should stay down. So let's turn it this way. Okay. Let's crank it through. Oh, I forgot to put my paper on top. Let's see if it works. Might have to give it another extra crank since I didn't put my paper on top. Okay. So see what happens? It cuts it off right there. So then, if I can find my piece, we'll bring it in. Oops. And you always want to get those little pieces off of your acrylic plate, because it'll give you an impression on your paper that you probably might not want. So you just bring this back in, line it up around the edge. If you want a little bit of reveal, you can. And you might need to put your painter's tape on there to hold it down so it doesn't jump around. Okay, and just put your lid back on, your acrylic plate. Go back in and cut. Let's go ahead and do 2. So it's still moved a little bit, but you see what I mean? When my die, I told you about keeping it back, I should have kept it back a little more. It doesn't cut the ends there, but it did give you that beautiful reveal. And then you can just pull this guy out, and then you can use this piece. I think it probably would have came down even more because this side doesn't have that much of a reveal, but it's kind of pretty. It's like lace, I think. So one more of the dies that I want to show you. So this one is on the next card that we're going to be doing. I love this piece. It is absolutely beautiful. So this one, again, what I did, you want to make sure that your flower is butted right up against the top. And again, I did use painter's tape so that it didn't move on me. Just make sure you, like I said, you don't get it on the paper because it will rip your paper. So just grab those points You want some down at the other end, like this. And then again, you want a piece of paper to go on the top of that. I'm going to use this guy right here. So I'm going to put this on top. I'm going to get my lid and make sure it's clean, my acrylic plate. You want to put it right on top. And this one, I would not recommend using dryer sheets or wax paper with it, just because the pieces that are going to pop out, I'll show you what I mean. So let's take the painter's tape off. So these pieces pop out, and you don't want to pull on. See how much it helps when you put that piece of paper over top of it? It forces all of these pieces to come out. So much less work this way. Isn't that beautiful? So these pieces, keep them because you never know what you're going to use them for. I've kept all my pieces. I've got a lot of them. And I'll show you in the next card how we put the pieces back in. But these are just some tips. If you have any more questions, you know, feel free to leave me a comment or send me a message. I always like to help. I like to share what I've learned. And I'm going to use that other guy and see if there's anything we need to know. Thanks.